Welcome back to my small garden. So very excitingly, this is the first time I've actually taken the covers off this year. They'll go back on tonight, but it's a lovely day, so the seedlings can all be naked. Right, let's have a look at what I've got. So garlic and onions. I've got some red onions here and some garlic. Now these red onions were only planted, you can see them there. They were only planted about a month ago. I'm going to repeat this several times. The weather has been awful, so everything is behind. Pak choy. Generally, I tend to say that through the winter in the greenhouse, but it doesn't really like heat, as in the heat of summer here. So it's a quite good crop to get in the ground now, and that will be harvested before the summer weather kicks in. That's if the slugs don't get it first. Because it's been so wet, I've never had problem with slugs, and this year my beds are inundated with them, which is hardly surprising. Limnanthes, that was self-seeded, but it just looks stunning. This will be full of beautiful sort of, it's called the poached eggplant, so beautiful yellow and white flowers, which the hoverflies really love. This is my pea and bean trellis that I made. You'll have seen a reel, hopefully, about that. Now, I tend to sort of get whatever I can from the wood and change up all my structures every year. This year I've done, I can pan out, this long one, which I'm going to do climbing beans, any sort, so runner beans and French beans, and then I'll run some dwarf beans along the bottom. I've got here some peas and mange tout that are already growing quite well. Now they have been sluggish, but look at the growth through there, how beautiful that looks, of the mange tout. They've really shot up. Bit more pak choy down here, sadly being eaten. But a run of the pak choy, and the idea is that the beans will shade the pak choy so they don't get too burnt. This is a little spare patch that totally dries out because of my massive oak tree, which takes all the moisture from the soil through the summer, which is beautiful yet annoying at the same time. But this is full of limnanthes and borage and calendula. And then this one here has got just a mismatch of all sorts of things. So I've got some brassicas down the bottom here that I literally just planted out about 3 days ago. I've got cauliflower, some early cabbage and some calabrese, so summer broccoli. These were sown in March, and I planted them out, as I said, a couple of days ago. Now they're always covered up at night time at the moment because they wouldn't really take too kindly to the frosts, and we are still getting some frost. I've got some kohlrabi, fennel, absolutely adore fennel, so I try and grow a lot of it. Look at how beautiful that lovely frond is. I love the colour of new seedlings. They come out like lovely bright lime green colour. And then if I just pan out a bit there, you can see in the background I've got a lot more onions, so mainly things like pickling white onions and spring onions. There's some beetroot there. Don't really eat a lot of beetroot, so I've just got a couple of rows, and it's multi-sown, so just 2 rows for me would be absolutely fine. And what will happen is those beetroot will grow and split, sort of spread apart from each other, and then I can just twist off one beet at a time whenever I need it. It's pretty weedy, this garden, and I think I do produce my own compost. I don't put anything that I've bought on the beds just because I can produce enough. But I think because my compost bins are just homemade, they're like 1 metre apart, made with pallets, I don't think it generates enough heat. It produces good compost, but for weed killing and sort of all those seeds that you get from the weeds, I just don't think they get killed. And so what happens is my bed is full of little teeny things like this, which I just have to regularly hoe. And then some coriander that was sown in March, and I've just popped it out in plugs in the garden. I've got some in pots as well. And then finally at the back there I've got some board beans. Now these board beans, I can't remember what variety they are. I've got some crimson flowered heritage ones, which you can see at the back there, there's that flower there. But these ones, I think they're called Masterpiece Long Pod. I was given them by my father-in-law, he finished his allotment, but Look at the colour of that. It's like a beautiful lilac flower, absolutely gorgeous. So this is a little self-seeded patch of oregano. Now this is full of bees in the summer when it flowers, so I let it flower, chop it back, and then it comes up again. It's just, yeah, it's self-seeded and it absolutely loves it there. So that just stays. And then this is my lettuce, pretty much my lettuce run down here. Now this laurel hedge is my neighbour's hedge, which I hate, but it does give quite a lot of shade here, and it means that lettuces that don't really like being full sun are really happy. If I can just try and lift this, I don't know. You can see through there, I've got lots of different types of lettuces. So I've got, this is cos lettuce at the front, and then Marvel of Four Seasons further back, and I've got some Lollo Rosso somewhere. Under here, lots of spinach. So I eat an awful lot of spinach, can never get enough really, and can't grow enough. This was sown in February. It's been planted out for quite a while. It's been undercover and is looking mighty fine. This is some spinach that I planted out last night. So again, multi-sown into plugs in the greenhouse and then popped straight into the ground. Yeah, they were only planted out yesterday. And then here is some celery. There's a random celeriac from last year just sitting over there, but this is a celery type called Victoria. Not grown it yet. I've never grown that variety before, but celery did brilliantly in this space last year, so I'm just using the same space. I don't worry about putting the same thing in the same space. I don't rotate. My garden's too small for that, so and it seems to manage perfectly well. And at the end there I've got rhubarb and some self-sown sorrel. Right, just going to show you what the greenhouse is doing. It's pretty full, that's all I can say. I haven't got enough room for any tables anymore because I've planted out all these tomatoes. So everything is kind of stacked around, lying around on the floor. So hopefully at some point that will all come outside. Okay, so essentially the tomatoes that you would have seen before have now been planted out into these, what they call plant halos. I've not used them before. I've just done a video on the use of them. But I got given them, and actually I do struggle sometimes with watering in here and getting consistent watering. I work full time, and this greenhouse heats up to like 50 degrees in the summer. Things dry out dead quickly, and it's just, yeah, it's one of my failing points, I guess. The watering in here is not up to scratch, I don't think. So anyway, the plant halos, what I'm hoping is that I can be a little bit more regular, not so much regular because obviously I've got to water, but know how much I'm watering. So the idea is with the halos that, where is one, there you go. They've got holes at the bottom and you obviously fill it up like a moat, and then the water seeps out and will head directly to the roots. I've planted quite a lot of flowers in the greenhouse this year. This is a self-seeded cerinthe. You can see we already have a little spider sitting there. Cute. The more flowers you can get amongst your vegetables, the better. And I have planted cosmos. There's a self-sown nasturtium. I've got alyssum and some marigolds there. And there'll be a bit of calendula in here as well. And I just mix that in amongst all the tomatoes, essentially in the gaps. So they're all the different types of tomatoes around the edge. Now at the back, let's have a look. At the back on the shelf are things that will probably either move out, be sold, or be put into pots in the greenhouse now. So aubergines, this is Black Beauty, looking super fine as well. These stay in the greenhouse, but they will go in big pots, and it means I can move them out when it's really hot in the summer to outside and then bring them back in at night. So I kind of tend to look after those quite a lot. I've got some herbs that are germinating. So I've got some dill, some lovage, some lemon balm, basil, some summer savoury. Now they're all multi-sown. You would have seen how I do that. I tend to just chuck everything into a pot sorry for the camera, where are we? Scatter so all the seeds into a pot and then prick them out when they're ready. So these ones here, you see, you can't let them grow on like that because they get too stacked. So I will prick them out individually into small pots or modules to grow them on, and then I can just plant them out individually when ready. In the corner there, I've got some brassicas starting. So I've got some purple sprouting broccoli, some cabbage for the winter, and some Brussels sprouts. They haven't germinated yet, it's quite early to do that, but I've just got a stack going. In this tray here, some second round spring onions. They'll join the ones that are in the bed that you've just seen. And then lots and lots of different types of chilies. Now I won't keep all my chilies. I've got an honesty bench out the front of the house. There's some more chilies there, and then if you pan up to the top, there are more chilies here. Lots of different types, but yeah, I'll basically put some out for my customers, and the rest I'll put in pots, and they'll just be scattered amongst the tomatoes. I will put some in the ground at the back of the greenhouse, but not all of them. Now this is interesting. This is my cucurbits. So I've got all the squashes, all the cucumbers. Actually, that's a lie. No cucumbers. So squashes, pumpkins, and courgettes in this tray. They were all sown on the 15th of April. And they are just starting to pop now. They're things that like being warm, so they have stayed in the greenhouse, and they'll be planted out when the weather is nicer. These are the cucumbers. I've got some more that I've just sown as well. Cucumbers tend to grow, I grow them in the greenhouse, but I've got a couple of varieties. Standard Market More, which is a good prolific variety that will go outside. These tomatoes that I've put in pots here, these are ones that are dwarf tomatoes, so they have a determinate height. They're kind of like a bush tomato, and they'll go outside when the weather is warm enough. So this space behind them, every time I wave my hand in front of the camera, it goes all blurry. So the space here is probably about 4 foot wide at the back here. So this table will go, and then this section I'll plant up those chilies and peppers in here, as well as having some in the pots, obviously. And then just lots of different sort of things that need to be gone. Sunflowers, I've got some cosmos, loads more peppers. In here is some basil that I've pricked out. That lid can come off now while it's warm. I just pricked that basil out. I did a short video on that recently on my YouTube, so you should be able to see that, how to prick things out. More cosmos, and more sunflowers. I like to grow sunflowers that are a bit different, so most of mine are kind of black and red. I've got some teddy bear sunflowers that have been given to me, and I have got a load of leeks here. Now these leeks are multi-sown again. Once they get a bit thicker, I'll individually plant them out in the garden, but they're just enjoying the warmth in here for the moment. So it's busy in here, but kind of like usual, a bit of Tetris, as in having to move things around constantly to accommodate. But the smell in here, now the tomatoes are here, is incredible. The Mizuna, which you can see over there, the yellow flower, I'm still waiting for that to really turn to seed before I harvest it. And that will be going in my subscriptions for later on in the year. If you're interested in joining my subscriptions, I send you seeds each month at the right time to sow them. So it can sometimes be a bit daunting and a bit confusing there's so much information about what to sow when. You know, a lot of people sow outside of what the seed packet says and things like that. So it makes it nice and simple. And if you're new to gardening, it's a great way to get going. So yeah, I send you seeds every month at the right time to sow them, so you can just rely on me to plan your garden for you. If you're interested in that, then do take a look at my website, and the link is in the bio. Well, it's goodbye from me. Hope you've enjoyed watching, and I'm going to spend time out in the garden today. Thanks for watching.